Welcome everybody to this episode, side episode, extra episode, fucking bonus episode of another goddamn horror podcast here today. As you see, there's only two of us. It's me and from the other side of Brooklyn, Graham. How you doing?
Good. We're over here trying to figure out a name for this little side project we got going. I've been calling it Horny for Music, to no one's pleasure.
I went super dark with it, and I'm like, we should call it Death Rattle, which totally sounds like a fucking metal band. So
yeah, just be like, is that the band, or are they talking about it? So yeah. So really, if anybody has ideas,
we wanted to do this. We wanted to do this to talk about music. So we got to figure out something.
We'll call it Horny for Death Rattles for now. Yeah. So no, this is one where Jonas and I just talk about mostly metal type shit and some horror and I also wanted to mention that our Facebook group, Scared Yet, who I started with my friends Ashley and Kristen and Angie and Jen, started selling merch. And now I got this shirt that I designed, and you can buy it, and you can get hoodies, and we got a Watch Party and Chill shirt, and it's super cool. So you should check it out at scaredyetofficial.com.
Yeah, y'all got branding and shit.
We're sponsored now, too.
Right. It's crazy. We figured we would talk about music and stuff, and we're going to be talking about metal. We're going to be talking about, me and Graham are going to talk metal and like deathcore and stuff, because Ryan he's too cool for that. Like, it's not his thing.
He doesn't like metal.
He doesn't.
He likes metal, but he won't call it metal. And we freely use the word metal.
Right. We throw it out like it's no big deal.
Every time he likes metal, he calls it hardcore.
Right.
Which is hardcore with him.
I was gonna say, that's gonna be like when you and Ryan do this, it's gonna be hardcore, and it's gonna be punk and stuff. Like, it's gonna be the shit that
he's gonna school me on ska and like Manchester, like England, like Oasis and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
guys are gonna talk about shit that I just is not part of my musical lexicon.
No.
And vice versa. That's what this is. So it's gonna be cool. Like, we have, I think when it comes to deathcore and it comes to metal and stuff, there's so much. First off, metal is one of those things that's like, the amount of subgenres and shit like that is crazy. Like, there's so many.
It's wild, and it seems to grow every day exponentially. And deathcore is actually a fairly big one, and it's very divisive in the community. I don't see really why, but I've started to actually recently. I feel like deathcore is such a cool amalgamation of all these great genres, and they're taking all the best parts and putting it into one genre, deathcore. And then now it almost seems like it's getting to the top.
Right.
Which is not a bad thing at all, because there's this thing, it's like that core effect or whatever, where it's like building up and it's getting smaller and tighter, and you're like, but it has to go somewhere, or it just dies, so it just explodes and goes everywhere. So I'm kind of waiting for deathcore to like have this swing of like influence of something else to bring in to elevate it. That being said, deathcore fucking kills. It's so much fun to listen to, and this album that we're about to talk about is dope as hell.
The thing also, like, with deathcore is that there's different kinds of deathcore. Like, there's symphonic deathcore, there's like new metal deathcore, there's all sorts of shit. And I think, honestly, the bad rap that it got was from the era of like the Slipknot and like fucking Mudvayne, when they were doing that style and like stuff like that, when it was like popular to shit on those bands. So it kind of got lumped into the whole like fuck deathcore like type of type of thing.
that just that attitude.
When you when you dig into deathcore though, like, you see a lot of stuff. Like, there's a whole lot. So this album that you sent me is wild. It's so good.
It's super fun. It's called Heritage by the band Distant. And they're deathcore from Rotterdam and Bratislava, which I think is in the Slavic Republic. Again, we're American. We don't know. We're not great at geography, but yeah. So they're fucking awesome, right?
Yeah, we don't know those things.
No, we're not good at that. But yeah, it's incredible. So tell me what you thought. I sent it to you. I listened to it a little bit and I sent it over to you. What did you think?
So I listened to the album a couple times at this point, just to kind of get get my footing on it and get my groove on it. But the first thing is I loved every single track. Like there was not one lull in the tracks at all. Like the entire album was good. And also the first track, Paradigm Shift.
Yeah.
Dude, the first fucking track sold me on the whole album. Like,
so I wrote something actually here about that, the beginning of the album, which is why it took me, like, I was like, oh, this rips. But said it starts out like you're in like a weird warehouse, like at like a rave, like an industrial sort of like in that warehouse under the tracks type place where like it's just like dirty industrial. You're getting drugs that you're not sure are gonna be good for you. Drugs aren't good for you, but you know what I mean. Dirty drugs, grimy stuff. And it feels like you're like in there, street drugs. And it feels like you're in there, like just zoning out with your head down, like listening to this weird new wave, dark wave music or something that's like getting creepier. And then like you look up and all of a sudden the place is empty. And all of a sudden the fucking floor opens up and this like black and gray sludge with like red fire engine streaks starts pulling you down into the ground while like the structure of the warehouse is collapsing. So that's what it felt like listening to that first intro into the album. And I was hooked there.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, that's a great description, actually. Now as you paint that picture, that's a perfect description. It was like the fucking blood rave in Blade, except it was sludgy as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's sludgy. Yeah, there's some noise. Also, I think one of the high points and something that really did something
Is that the
cool.
Cats?
Yeah, it's the Cats. Something that they did really cool and in a way is progressing the genre in a cool, fun way that I'm looking for is on the song Argent Justice. They have 16 vocalists.
Jesus.
They have vocalists from Abbey Falls, Acranius, I'm guessing, 2 from Acranius, 3 from Angel Maker, Body Snatcher, Cabal, Carcosa, 2 from Carcosa, Crown Magnetar, Distant, 2 from Distant, Frankie from Immure, Paleface, Suicide Silence, 1056, and Worm Shepherd.
Jesus Christ.
It's like a 6 or 7 minute song, and they use every minute perfectly. You can hear the difference between the vocalists come in and stuff. They tracked it out exactly well. It's a great fucking song, and it's super fun. And it's easily like the most exciting part of the album, I think.
Yeah, I actually thought that I was going to have a problem with the 7-minute song when I saw that it was on there, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to get me."
Yeah,
but no, it's great. The entire song was good, and I didn't know it had that many. I had no idea that it had that many vocalists. And now that you say that, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense now that you say it. But, yeah, dude, that song being 7 minutes, it didn't fuck with. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think the singer of Distant said that this was a rainbow of deathcore singers.
Oh, beautiful. That makes sense. That actually makes total sense. What was the one? I'm trying to think here. The other song, dude, Orphan of Blight, which is one of their singles.
Yep.
Dude, so good. It's such a good single.
Yeah, I was really into that, and like I said, Argent Justice, and that the opening track is just it pulled me right in, and it just stays mean the whole time, and it feels like you're fighting to stay out of that hole that you're getting pulled into. It's so good. But yeah, I'd say five.
Yeah, it doesn't let up at all. Five Danzigs easily, like without a question. There's no there. Yeah, it's definitely one of those albums. Also, like I said, from the beginning to the end, it's strong the whole way through. It's strong. It's brutal. It's mean. It's upbeat. Like everything. And there's not a lull in the entire album. Which sometimes, like, you know, especially with deathcore, you'll have like that one or two tracks in the middle that kind of gets soggy, and this whole album doesn't have that. Like, it's just, it fucking grabs you and it takes you through the whole ride. And yeah, dude, five Danzigs without a question. There's no way it wouldn't be.
Hell yeah. So that's a good start to this year.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and also, like, it was interesting because that thing you said about the very, very first track, that Acid Rain.
Yeah.
It, like, when it started, I didn't think, like, I didn't know what was gonna happen with that first track because it was electronic. So I was like, okay, are they gonna be like, is this gonna be like some Archspire type shit? Like, what's gonna go on? And then they went full deathcore, but went like vicious deathcore. Like, very, very
it's biting.
They went almost like, I don't want to say they went, just like nasty. Like, it was good. Like, I loved every second of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited.
So
you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the other thing I had you listen to, because I wanted to talk about it really quick, was the 4 singles that dropped from Sleep Token.
Yeah, that shit was really cool. I watched all the videos, and it had a lot of, especially that kind of music, when the vocalist is singing and then they go to like the deathcore or the yelling or screaming or whatever. Whenever they dip into the singing, I'm not into it. It like takes me out of it. But when it's singing the whole time, like say like Deftones or something, I'm into it. And especially if it's a good vocalist. This vocalist is great. The videos are so cool. It's just like 3D rotating views of these like Geiger-esque, like old, like fucking Colosseum warriors, just like growing and moving. It's so cool looking, and it goes perfect with the music, and I loved it. Yeah, I'm super excited about digging more into them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was with them, especially because they're a prog rock band. Like, they kind of have that thing where it's going to be like, you never know exactly which direction it's going to go. And with these 4 tracks, like, they're concept things, just like most prog rock really is. But this one, it seems that they're going heavier into the darker, heavier parts of the music, which I'm super stoked for. So I'm glad you dug it.
Yeah, I'm generally not a big prog fan, but there's some that's you just can't deny. And I think a lot of music I listen to is considered prog. I just didn't consider it that, but whatever. I do want to talk about real quick some albums from last year before we look forward. We did talk about and with Night this year, and Spirit World, Undeath, and Extinction AD, which all put out just fucking incredible albums. And Extinction AD probably put out my favorite thrash album in a long time. But I wanted to bring up a couple that I didn't really get to touch on too much, although I brought up one a lot. But and I'll start with that. But it's the album of the year for me is Witch Fever. Congregation is the name of the album. And it's doom punk, feminist doom punk. And it's just about the patriarchy and religion and the ferociousness that these women are displaying in their riffs and screams and everything. You can feel just like the breaking out of like those types of shackles. And I just love every fucking second of it. And the imagery is amazing. 2 is Vomit Forth's Seething Malevolence. It was nominated for a Danzig, but it didn't win. It is by far the heaviest album and catchiest as far as getting that heavy that I've heard in a long time. Like, I hit the first track and it kicked in with that low bass and I thought I was going to shit myself. It's that heavy. And then my dudes from Bore put out a single. It was 3 tracks. This will not end well, or this will not end, I think. And it's 2 tracks. They did. Danny produced it, and it sounds amazing. And they did that the System of a Down cover, Sweet Pea, which fucking rules. So that's sort of my roundup of my favorite metal from last year.
Man, 2022 was such a wild year for music in general, and like honestly, out of all of our categories that we had, I have to say probably that category, album of the year, was probably one of the hardest ones to really figure out who we wanted for it, just
100%.
because there was so much good shit, so much good stuff. And yeah, everything, all the ones that you just said are fantastic. My top one, honestly, probably out of the whole year, just because I've been such a fucking fanboy for them for so long, was probably Lorna Shore's, just because they came out with their full album finally. And because their full album ripped all the way through, like that was the one that did it for me. But honestly, like fucking just 2022 was such a banger year, both for horror and for music. Like the music was just off the fucking charts, you know.
I found so much good new music too.
Yeah, you're usually the one that throws out the new music to me, especially like, because I mean, I have my stuff that I listen to on my streaming platforms and shit, like, but I don't venture outside of my comfort zone enough, I think. And because of that, I miss certain bands. Like I miss this one, like, you know, the one that we're talking about today. I would not have even thought about that one. But the same thing happened with one of my favorite ones currently is Wage War. I fucking love them, and their new tracks are incredible.
I love that song Manic so much.
It's fun. Like it's so nasty and fun. Yeah.
The lyric vocal play in that song is really, really good. Did you tell me about the Callous Dowboys, or did you recommend their newest album?
No, that wasn't me, but I love that name.
Okay. Then did you tell me about Electric Callboy?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I got those confused. Callous Dowboys is a much more like noise, chaotic hardcore than opposed to like the metalcore. So I didn't listen to either because it was a little too cheesy metalcore for me. But I ended up listening. Like Electric Callboy is fun, but like, you know, I don't like put in an album. I'm like, this is really, I'm learning a lot. Like, but Dallas Cowboys like has a similar goofy name, and I was like, what is this? So people kept talking about how it was super good, and I was like, is it? Wasn't Dallas Callous or Electric Callboys singing about like working out?
They were, but that was Electric Callboys jam.
Yeah, and so this Callous Cowboys, it's insane. It's really good. It shocked me that it was so different, but that was fun. Anyway,
fuck yeah. There's, like I said, man, there's so much new music coming out, and like the reason that I brought up Wage War is because they're dropping singles right now, and all of their singles are good. And also their last album, the one that had Manic on it, is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like from start to finish, it's a fucking good album. There's a specific song that they did called Relapse that is vicious. Like just, it's such a fun album. Like it's definitely like workout music, but it's also rage music. Like it's both of those things. Speaking of workout music, by the way, I actually my roommate Freddie, which you know Freddie,
love Freddie,
but he yeah, and I introduced him to Extinction AD, you know, friends of the show, and now he's like telling his sister and shit about it. Like, so awesome. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Rick was so rad when he came on the show.
Such a good dude. Such a just solid dude.
Yeah. So yeah, what else we got? We got some horror coming up, right?
We do. Right before the show, I had you watch a trailer for The Offering, which is coming out. Like, I think it just dropped on video on demand, and it looks fucking wild.
It looks really good. I just watched it right before we came on, and I said exactly what I guess Jonas said about it. But I said it looks like The Vigil meets The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So it's like super Jewish, and apparently it looks like it's staying pretty true to the culture and everything. So that shit, I'm super excited about that. Jewish horror is really good. And I just love new types of supernatural demon stuff from all over the world. Like, it's super cool. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, Lana was telling me, my other roommate Lana, she was telling me that there's so much demonology in Jewish folklore that if horror movies actually attach themselves to it properly and do it well, then they can make it really good. So like when I had her watch The Vigil, she was like, the shit is accurate, like it's great, blah blah blah. And then I showed her the trailer for The Offering, and she was like, this looks like they're doing their shit, like they know their stuff, and this looks like legitimately terrifying. Like this just looks like a scary,
So
good,
cool.
well done. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. We had just this weekend coming out in theaters, the movie Missing came out, and that is the spiritual sequel to the movie Searching, which came out, I want to say 2 years ago, that had John Cho, and that was the one where it was filmed through all the computer screens, and that was from the parental POV where he's trying to find his daughter. And you didn't see that one.
I didn't see that, and I heard Missing was good, and I heard people getting excited about it, and then I heard you specifically say that the first one, or the spiritual prequel or whatever, is really good. And I told you that I had always been sort of hesitant with the on-screen horror, like the Unfriended or whatever they are. I like never gave them a chance until Host. The Shudder one with the Zoom calls and shit, and that fucking ruled. So I've totally changed my mind on that. I'm watching a lot of really good stuff now through those kinds of subgenres. But yeah, super excited for this now that I know it's like a sort of a two-parter.
Yeah. This one is starring Storm Reed. So like she's playing the daughter, and she's on the search for her parents who have gone missing while they were on vacation. Whereas the first one was John Cho as the dad searching for his daughter who had gone missing. And it's apparently like the mystery part of it is done very well. There's some cool twists and turns that you don't see coming. Like everything I'm seeing about it has got me hopeful for it. But I do want to bring up one other movie that I didn't actually mention to you before the show, because I kind of want to get your opinion on what it looks like.
Let's hear it.
Neither one of us have seen this, but it's the movie Skinamarink.
I've heard of it, and
you've heard of it.
Yeah, and somebody, like, I know nothing about it, and I feel like there's that name confuses me too, because I feel like there's another movie or band that just came out with a very similar name. But go ahead, tell me about it. I know nothing.
Okay, so first off, it does feel like a band name, but it's a movie that it very much feels like a band name. Actually, now that I think about it, that's going to be in my head. But it's a micro budget movie. And when I say micro budget, I mean, I think it was made on like 15 grand. Like it was super, super, super low budget. And
we've seen lower.
We have that. We are Trauma fans, and we've seen a lot of the Amityville movies that are not part of the Amityville franchise, so that we know some low budget movies. But this movie there's two kids in the house, and they wake up with their parents missing, and all of the windows and the doors are sealed. But the movie is filmed basically with like a grainy, like almost VHS camera that is on the ground. So it's doing it as like the whole concept of the movie is to give you this feeling of like childlike danger. and childlike tension of like what lies in the darkness type of thing. And I'm hearing, this is why I'm interested about this movie. This seems to be a movie that some people are saying are an absolute fucking masterpiece, but then some people are saying it's one of the worst movies they've ever seen in their entire life. So now I'm super curious, because that was kind of the same thing that happened with Blair Witch when it came out. It was like, this is either a masterpiece or it's absolutely fucking terrible.
That's true. And generally, when that's said, when it's a split like that, I tend to lean towards masterpiece. But I feel like maybe that's changing. I'm just thinking about the horror fans and community and like how they like, I don't know.
It's a weird one. It's a weird debate too, because
it is
like when it comes to these types of movies, when they're super art housey like that, I'm also one of those ones that like, I give a lot of movies a chance to be what the movie is supposed to be, and like I try to take the movie in as that. And when I do that, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, which is like, you know, like our previous guest Jacob Aaron Estes, when he did He's Watching, most people would watch that movie and it's not going to be necessarily their cup of tea because it's a fucking weird movie, but the way that it was done was brilliant to me, you know. So like taking a movie like that and accepting it for what it is, like, you know, that makes you enjoy the movie more. This 100%. one I'm so up in the air on this one though. On Skinamarink, I'm so up in the air on it. So it's coming out apparently at the end of the month, I think, on Shudder. It's going to be a Shudder movie at the end of the month. So I don't know. Okay, we'll see. I'm interested, but it's gonna be an interesting one. We'll see what happens on it. Do you have any specific movies that you're really looking forward to this month or this year?
I mean, yeah, all of them, honestly. But I did start watching. I watched my first 2023 movie, official 2023 movie, not the first one I watched this year, the first one that was released this year, and it's on Shudder, and it's called Sorry About the Demon, and it is fucking hysterical. It's delightful. It's like almost a romance comedy, but it's gross and stuff, and like it's just fun. It's delightful, and I loved it. And it was we've watched the latest three, which was Burial, which was you know, they're carrying Nazi remains through the forest or whatever. That one's just kind of fun. But
nice.
And then it was pretty good, yeah. And then Take Back the Night, which is just like a very much like fuck men, fuck the patriarchy. Yeah, and but the monster in it is very much like the monsters from the aliens from Attack the Block, but like grimy, kind of like on street drugs. It's weird. It's very cool.
Okay.
I liked it a lot. But yeah, the for a good fun weekend movie with the family, go with Sorry About the Demon. It's great. And it's about, I'll tell you, it's about a dude that he gets his heart broken. He breaks up with his girlfriend, and so he buys this house that's got a bunch of demons in it. And the previous owners are trying to sell the house so the house can get a blood sacrifice. It's great. That is just funny throughout the whole thing. So yeah, check that out.
That one, actually, I saw the cover for it and it looked like it was going to be a fun, like humorous type of thing. Yep. So I was like, that looks like it's right down my alley. Like 100% looks like it's down my alley.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention this because me and Ryan had talked about this before too, but I want to mention this. The new Scream trailer that dropped.
Yep.
That made me super excited for it. Like that looks like, this legitimately looks like a new flavor of Scream. Like it legitimately looks like a new tone. It's got like, it's kind of meaner, and it looks like it's doing New York proper. Like it doesn't look like, even though it's not even filmed in New York, like it looks like they're doing it in a way that makes New York look and feel like New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And although I disagree with the vibe and the tone, really, like I feel like it's very Scream still, But I think the fact that they were in like the shit they showed in the trailer, and I don't even know why I watched the trailer because I'm gonna see it, and I generally don't do that, but I ended up watching it, and it was very cool. Like there's some scenes and like callbacks to things, and you're like, this is different, but they also hammer that in, like this is different. Like they're really hammering it that in, like I'm something completely different. So like, is that a swerve? I don't know.
Right. Is it a red herring? But like here's the thing. When I say that I think the tone is different, is that I think with most of the Scream movies, they have that tone of having that meta thing going on still. They still have like the internal dialogues about movie stuff. They still have that very film school, like graduate type of movie fan speak about the movie and about the setting. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's in Woodsboro. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a repeat thing that happens in Woodsboro all the time. And like, so it goes back to those things. Whereas this one, whoever the fuck Ghostface is, or the ghost faces, plural, whatever, they seem more angry, more like, because the other movies had like a character that was attached to the ghost face that was
more
like,
playful.
whether it was Timothy Oliphant in it had that almost like a jovialness to it. Even though they were psychopaths, there was still like that little bit of like, I wouldn't even call it cheesiness.
In on the joke.
Yeah. It had that kind of in on the joke tone. So this one doesn't seem like that. This one seems like it is an actual like psychotic ghost face, as opposed to somebody that has that other little tinge to it. This one is the first one that feels like an actual serial killer. You know what I mean? Like it feels like somebody who wants to just kill as many people as possible, not just the people that are attached to the original storyline. So this one feels more unhinged to me, which I like. I like that it has that looseness to it that that feels like anybody could die at any time, whether it's part of the core cast or not. I feel like that's what it feels like to me, which has me excited because it feels actually new. Because I love the last one, but this one feels legitimately like it's a breath of fresh air into it.
I honestly felt that way about the last one though. It felt like, especially with killing Dewey off, it felt like they were letting go more of Woodsboro and moving forward. So I kind of felt like that was sort of the refreshing, and now this is where they dig in, and start going outside of Woodsboro. Because honestly, 5 in the same town, it's rough. You
gotta change.
You gotta go somewhere. I think even Amityville, they went to space. So
it's true. They did. They went all the way to space.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm super excited for it because I think. So does the cheerleader die? You think?
The cheerleader? Yeah. Let's see.
Hayden. But
Hayden
I don't.
Panettiere.
Yeah.
Fucking Kirby.
She's back. Kirby. She's back. So does she eat it?
Dude, I don't know. That's like, this is one of the things that's also got me excited about it, because there's like, you've got the Kirby aspect, so she's back. You've got this new shrine of Ghostface that's in like an old movie theater or something like that. So like, where the fuck is that coming from, and who's the person that has done that? But also,
that shrine is actually kind of cool.
It's fucking dope. It is.
Yeah.
Now, also in the trailer, Samara Weaving shows up for a split second.
Is that true? I thought, okay.
She shows up for a split second. She's in an alleyway on a phone with her back against the wall. So I'm thinking that Samara Weaving is the opening kill. I think she's the opening kill.
Of course, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Perfect too.
I think
Absolutely
she's the opening.
Perfect.
And it makes sense because, alleyway in New York City, like there's fucking Ghostface running around. The cops are going to be like, there's no way that Ghostface is in New York City. And she's just going to be, I think that's what, because it only showed her for a split second, I'm like, that's got to be the opening. That's got to be the opening kill. And if it is, as much as I love Samara Weaving, that's going to put her in that legacy part of
the
Scream.
Drew legacy.
Yeah. And that's what
that's a serious role. That's like an iconic role.
Yeah.
For and not just because Drew, but nobody else could have done it but Drew. But because she did it and it paid off so well, they could keep doing it with different and it's become a thing. She like made a trope, like and it was awesome. I loved it.
It made one of the best tropes in horror. Like you have this big major actor or this big major character that gets iced in the first 10 minutes. So you had Drew, you had Jada Pinkett Smith, you had fucking Cotton Weary, and then you had that weird thing with 4 where they just did the recycling of the Stab movies. Where it was
I kind of love that.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. Where all the big actors and actresses just get iced.
Yeah.
And then 5 did the same thing, except
she didn't
5
get iced,
switched
though.
Yeah, I was gonna say they switched it up with 5 on that. So
that's
that was
why
a cool
I felt
thing.
like that was, and because they were coming in from New York and stuff, like in the beginning, like they were driving in from the city and stuff. So like that felt like the restart to me specifically. I think, and this is my Hail Mary, but I think the cheerleader at Kirby is the reason that there's a ghost face. I don't think she is the ghost face, but I think she's either behind it or the reason.
I think based off of the trailer,
I think she plays a big role.
Yeah. I think based off of the trailer, and I think based off of the way that part 5 storyline had changed everything, I would not be surprised if the head of the Ghostface cult or whatever the fuck it is that they're kind of like trying to show off, or the one that's like the leader of this whole thing, might be Melissa Barrera. It might be her. And it could be because she goes through therapy and has a psychotic break. It could be because she can't escape her past as being Billy Loomis's daughter. It could be, there's so many things that it could be, but that one I was worried about the fact that it might be her as the killer until I actually thought about it more. And then I was like, oh, that would actually make a lot of fucking sense. And it wouldn't bother me because it wouldn't feel like it was cashed in. It would actually make logical sense. But there's so many people that it could be. And also Gail has to die in this one. There's no fucking way that she can keep surviving. She has to get iced in this one.
I think maybe I don't know. What was I going to say? I had one more thing. I'm out. I forget.
No, well, while you're thinking of that, this is my reason that I think Gail has to die. I think at this point you have to kill off the legacy characters if you're going to keep the series going. Like you have to. There's no way that they can keep surviving. Like Dewey made sense because Dewey at that point had been stabbed so many times that he had a limp and had half of his body didn't work.
And at that point, Nev was still on the cast.
Right. And
how
also,
fucking cool would it be if fucking Nev was actually the leader of the society, the Ghostface Society, and this was all a fucking ruse. This was all a work.
Dude, if it's all a swerve and she's the fucking killer, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Dude, that would be the best thing that happened in movies. But yeah, I don't think that's a long shot.
It's a super long shot.
I'm super excited. I love these streams, and I love the fact that they're releasing them straight to Paramount. I think they're doing the same thing, or whatever it was. I think Paramount, because it was released like day of, right?
Yeah.
And I think the plan is for them to do that again, which I appreciate, because as much as I do love going to the theater, I don't love going to the theater. Like,
sure.
And there's a lot of reasons why, but Scream feels very comfort foody at this point. So like digging in at night, like on the couch, watching it at home, a new one is very cool to me. So I'm very excited for this. That's why last year was great with Hellraiser and Prey and stuff. I really like the big horror going straight to streaming, or at least home, so I can watch it quick.
See, I like that as much as I like indie films going to theater. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like, I'm happy that Terrifier 2 got its theater run, and I'm happy that that opened the door for more smaller horror movies to do that same thing. And I'm happy about that. Whereas you have these bigger movies like Scream and like Prey and like Hellraiser, they don't necessarily need the theater run because they're franchise pictures, they're backed by a huge studio, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't necessarily need that for them. But those indie movies, they fucking need that. Like, they need that money, they need that, you know, everything. They need that box office number because it means something. Like, it really means something to them. So I am happy about that part.
100%.
Definitely happy about that part.
No, and I go to films by indie directors when I can. You know, I generally stay away from any of the big budget studio films. I'll wait till they're streaming. You know, I wasn't going to go see Black Adam. I really wanted to go see Black Adam, but I wasn't going to because I knew it'd be on Disney or whatever it's on. HBO. I don't know what it's on. But that shit was fun. Anyway, there was one other thing I was going to say.
You may have been the only person in the world that just said Black Adam was fun. You might have been fine. The only.
But so let's talk about wrestling real quick.
Yeah,
just a real quick. What's going on?
Since Ryan's not here, I mean,
exactly.
We might as well throw it in.
This
there.
should just be the metal and wrestling podcast. So what's going on with WWE right now?
Oh, you mean with Vince coming back?
Sort of. Well, we got we had Vince leave and Triple H take over creative, and all of a sudden the product got extremely better.
Mm-hmm.
And for about 8 months, leading up to the best pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And now Vince is back. So what's going to happen?
So I legitimately don't think that Vince is back to do creative things. I don't think that he's back for that. I think he legitimately is only back for financial reasons and for the sales reasons. I do actually think that's true. I do think that there's going to be an issue with him, you know, having issues with not being able to touch the company as far as creative stuff goes. But there's also something I have to mention on this. People blew the whole Stephanie McMahon resigning thing way the fuck out of proportion, because when she came on to be the co-CEO, she was already resigned. Like, she was already on her leave of absence. She already had fucked off. But then when Vince dropped out, she was just like, all right, well, fuck, I got to come back and do this because I can't leave the company in, you know, just these hands, et cetera, et cetera. So when Vince came back to do all the behind the scenes shit, that really was just her going back to the way that she was before. Like, yeah, I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah,
like,
but
I want to retire.
That's true. But also it went from like an 8-person board to a 5-person board with like 3 of them being Vince and like his 2 yes people. So which
he's getting sued for. They're going to sue him. They're going to sue the fuck out of him.
But he's going to pay for it. And then he's just going to take over his company again. I've been watching a lot of Succession too, by the way. This is why I'm thinking about it a lot.
No, I don't think he's going to retake over his company. I think what he's going to do is I think he's going to garner the sale. He's going to push the sale through to whoever the fuck he wants to sell it to. He's going to cash out on that, and then he's going to fuck off. And the only reason I
hope so. I don't think so, but I hope so.
the only reason that I think so is because I think with what he's doing as far as the board membership goes and everything like that, he knows for a fact that what he did is going to get him sued. They're going to sue the fuck out of him. The shareholders are going to sue his ass off. And he knows that. But also, he knows that if he's in charge of the sale, he's the one that's going to make the most money off of that sale. And then once he cashes that out, he's done. He doesn't have to do fuck all. Like, he doesn't have to do anything else. He can like retire. But he also had to pay. He just had to pay however many millions of dollars to settle a lawsuit against a referee.
It was a few, and that wasn't the only lawsuit he just settled. He just settled 2 more, I think, today.
Yeah, which that took a huge chunk of his money out. So he probably knew that was coming. So that's why he's doing this whole sale thing. The product right now, people like, this is the only thing I don't like about wrestling fans online, is that as soon as the Vince came back thing started, everybody was like, oh, look, now the product's getting shittier. The product hasn't fucking changed. It still
hasn't
good.
changed. I've been watching.
Not at all.
It's
Yeah,
not.
it's still Triple H.
Still not as good as AEW as far as me. I don't like it as much. They've burned me too many times, and
Sure.
their shit is kind of cheesy. But and
It
not to
is.
say AEW is not. All of wrestling is pretty fucking cheesy, but there's something about AEW that just like lends itself to a more realistic, less flashy, less I'm a superstar, and more I'm a wrestler. Which is part of the reason I like it. But anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about the Royal Rumble. I am every year. It's the best. It's the most fun. You play games. You like bet on who's coming out and what time and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
I think the Royal Rumble is going to be great this year, and I think there's a lot of cool things that can happen from the Rumble this year. I think there's a lot of things that they're playing around with that are super fun.
Okay, so who's winning the men's and who's winning the women's?
The women's, I think for sure is going to be Rhea Ripley. I think
You
it's.
think?
I don't think there's anybody else that can win it really. Because they really fucked her last time on her women's title run. They absolutely fucked her last time because they gave it to her and then they immediately gave it to Charlotte Flair. And it was during the pandemic era, but it was still, she got fucked on it. And she is the most popular and also the most skilled overall as far as like character, in ring, all of it. As a whole, as a complete total package, she's somebody that you can strap a rocket ship to and like absolutely put that division on her back.
Agreed. Now
So
here
it's got to be her.
So for one thing, I think she's better, not in Judgment Day or night or whatever it is. Judgment Day, right? Yeah.
The Judgment Day.
I think she's better without them. She doesn't need them. I think her character is brought down because of them. And I love Finn more than anything. But this isn't, the Judgment Day is kind of not cutting it for me. But I think she deserves it, maybe, but I also think somebody that might kind of deserve it, although not in everybody's eyes, Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi. I think if Naomi comes back,
I think she might be a surprise.
Yeah, I think if she comes back, I don't think she'll win it, but I think it'll come down between her and Rhea. And I think it'll be like that big iconic showdown thing where the audience is split and also the audience is like on their fucking feet, like because either one of those people that wins is going to be a roof blower. Like it's just the roof's going to come off.
But I think with Naomi winning it, it blows the roof off more.
I agree. I absolutely agree on that.
And I would love to see Triple H kind of honor those women for stepping out, for standing up for themselves when her and Sasha left.
Here's the other thing about Naomi, though. Naomi may be a part of the bloodline. And it's because she's part of the family, like legitimately part of the family.
No, yeah.
So if they do that, I could also see her coming out in like her Naomi thing. Like everybody's like, oh, fuck, Naomi's back. And then she lays fucking waste to somebody and she's part of the bloodline. Like I could see it be a swerve like that, which I honestly would be all for. I would be all for like an angry, vicious heel part of the bloodline of Naomi. Like that would be fucking fantastic to me.
So
you've never seen that part of her.
That's true. And this is kind of what I think would be an amazing move is she wins Royal Rumble and is building up to her match against whoever's got the belt at the time, whoever she goes after at WrestleMania. And Roman has his match for the belt at WrestleMania. And Roman loses and she wins and she's the head of the table.
Ooh.
And then the Usos have to back her because they're married to her and their brothers. And now Roman is on the bottom.
Ooh, that's a fun one too.
That would be my favorite. But they never.
There's almost no way that's happening. But fuck, that would be fun.
It would be so
That would be
cool.
super fun. And this is also interesting too, because if you look at the Bloodline storyline, the Bloodline thing has been the best shit in WWE for as long as it has. Yeah. And it's been incredible. And I don't think there's any way that Roman doesn't leave WrestleMania without the titles. I think he's losing no matter what. Like, he's got to. Like, at this point, there's no way that he can keep the titles past WrestleMania at this point. You just can't fucking do it. But that makes the men's Royal Rumble real interesting because, like, first off, who's going to take it from him? Second off, who's going to be the surprise? Because there's going to be one. And if it's The Rock, the fucking place is going to blow the roof off for sure. But if it's The Rock, what do you do? Because
you don't put the belt on The Rock.
That's what I'm saying.
Ever really?
What do you do? No, you don't need to.
It's the worst idea when they do that shit.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So dumb. Like when literally every time they put it on Goldberg.
Yeah, oh God, every time.
Every fucking time. So here's what I think should happen and what I hope happens.
Okay.
I hope that The Rock wins. Wins the Rumble. I hope he comes out and I hope he wins the Rumble. If he does not win the Rumble, I hope he comes out on Raw the night after the Royal Rumble. Okay. So I hope that one of the two. But regardless, if The Rock is involved with WrestleMania, what I think has to happen is that The Rock faces Roman on night 2 and Roman loses the title on night 1. Like, that's the only way I can see this happening, because it's a catch-22. Because does Roman keep the title if he goes against The Rock?
But he also has 2 titles to put up too, doesn't he?
He does, but I think they're still treating it as one title right now.
They may. I think I heard that there's been talk of them splitting it soon, because it is kind of
it's
unfair.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. No, but I mean, they're splitting up the tag titles. I know that.
Yeah.
But that's the only way that I can see the Rock Roman match happening. And I feel like if he loses the title in the first night, I'm fine with pretty much anybody that would be in the running taking that title, whether it's Kevin Owens, whether it's Finn, whether it's Edge, whoever the fuck. I don't care.
There's like only in my eyes, there's only one person that can take it, that should take it off, and that's Zayn.
Sami Zayn is the one that should.
Sami Zayn 100% should be the one that fucking beats Roman in the end.
It should be. Yeah. And that's also the other thing is, like, are they going to finally give him his due? Because fucking dude is
unreal.
They would lose their fucking mind. And this is what I, in my head, think would be the coolest fucking thing. I think if you had a match, because like right now they're setting up the whole, like, Sammy getting kicked out of the bloodline thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the proper storyline way to go is Roman and the bloodline turning on Sammy. It's got to be the other way around.
Yeah, it's got to be Sammy and Owens.
Yeah, it's got to be Sammy doing a swerve in some way. Like, if there's a match, whether it's like a tag match or something, where he looks like he's going to run over and do the haluva kick to fucking Owens, but on the last second, he makes the turn and does it to fucking, Roman or whoever else. Like, it's got to be Sammy that does the turn.
If we're being honest, this really feels like, because Kevin Owens at this point in the company is well respected. He's at the top. Like, they love that dude, and especially Triple H. Triple H threw that universal belt on him as soon as he could.
Yeah.
So this honestly feels like Kevin went to Triple H and was like, we need to do this for Sammy.
Right. And I think
that would be really cool.
It would be, dude. I would be so fucking happy for him. Like, he's been such a,
like the two of them bringing them down, but like Sammy getting the gold in the end is.
Absolutely. And also that would ultimately set up the ultimate storyline down the road of the eventual Sammy and Kevin having like the big match, because they've had a fucking million matches and they're all bangers, but like
they're the fight forever kings.
Yeah. And if they had that one Cinderella story banger of a fucking main event for the title, like, talk about an indie Cinderella story.
I think if Triple H still has all creative, and then I think something like that is going to happen, because I think it also shows up AEW by getting these indie guys the top belt in the entire world. So
1,000%. Would absolutely do that. So here's where I have to shift, because we are a horror podcast.
yes,
What do we think about the Bray Wyatt thing?
the blackout, the Mountain Dew,
The pitch,
blackout,
the Mountain Dew pitch black match. That's
Pitch
stupid
Black,
as
that's
fucking
right.
stupidest fucking title, but I think
Well,
it's gonna be
here's
cool.
I don't know. Every time Bray has like a cool match, it's like too gimmicky. It's like almost cool, but then it's like, oh, you just went a little too goofy.
So I agree with you, except for the fact that all of his big gimmicky matches have been done during the pandemic era when there was no audience. So they kind of had
Didn't they do one of the Funhouse, and not the Funhouse, but one of those like when Randy Orton lit his place on fire? Was that during the pandemic or lockdown?
Oh, you're talking about the House of Horrors match?
Yeah.
Okay, the House of Horrors match is the one that was not during the pandemic era, and that was really stupid. That one was really dumb, but all the other ones have all been during the pandemic thing. So like the Swamp Fight, the Firefly Funhouse match, the Firefly Inferno match, the
Firefly Funhouse one was John Cena.
Yeah,
that shit was rad.
It was, but it wasn't a match. Like
it wasn't a match, but it was fucking cool.
Yeah, it was cool as shit. And also, like, the ending of the Randy Orton Firefly Inferno match where he set the dummy on fire, wasn't stupid, but it was awesome. Like, it was cool, but it was dumb,
Yeah.
So this one, I think the Pitch Black match, I honestly think it's just going to be a lights out match. That's a street fight. I think it's just going to be that, which is totally fine. But I also think that's where they're going to reveal all of the Uncle Howdy type characters, because I think that storyline and what that is actually fucking brilliant, because each one of those characters, quote unquote, is a part of Bray's personality. And I think that's going to become what he's had on his Twitter account forever, which is the Wyatt Six. And I think that's going to be just a fucking monster faction, like just a monster stable.
So
where it's basically going to be Bray. So the people that are under the masks, I don't know if they're ever going to show who they are. I think one of them is. I think they will. You think they will? I don't know. I think the most recent one that came out, the Uncle Harper, that one I think is Bo Dallas for sure.
I think Bo's in there. I think Redbeard's in there.
I think Redbeard.
I think he will be at some point at least.
Yeah.
I think Grayson.
I think.
Grayson Waller keeps saying some weird shit down in NXT and like getting spooked out by like weird Bray stuff, and that's odd. Yeah. And also Alexa for sure. So Alexa for sure is in it. I think Bo Dallas for sure is in it. I think Redbeard's going to come back for sure. And I do absolutely think that Vincent Dutch and Bateman are all going to be a part of it. I think all of them are going to be a part of it. Okay.
So I think the Righteous are probably going to be a part of it, in the sense that, here's the other thing I think that's going to be the first stable or faction or whatever that goes across all brands. So I think there's going to be parts of this Wyatt Six or whatever that are parts in NXT, parts in SmackDown, parts in Raw. So it's kind of like a Four Corners type of thing.
Crossover.
Yeah, seriously, I think that's what it's going to be. So that way it's like inescapable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's also what's going to finally put an end to that fucking stupid Joe Gacy Wyatt family knockoff bullshit that he's doing. I think that's going to get destroyed by whoever the Wyatt Six people are.
Kind of love them. What is it? What are they called?
The Schism.
The Schism, yeah.
They're a fucking Tool album. That's what they are.
I know, but I love Joe Gacy, actually. I know him from Outlaw.
He's great. Yeah, he is great.
And the crew looks the part and stuff. They're just not, there's something not catching.
They're just not doing anything with them. They're floundering.
Yeah, it's like it's going over everybody's head or something. Like, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with them ever, but I'm never really sure about NXT anymore. Really.
NXT blows right now. Like, in general,
it's a little weird.
Like, it's not even that it's a little weird. It's like, I was doing this, talking with Josh Alba on this on a different show, and we were talking about the problem with NXT right now is that what they wanted to do with NXT is they wanted to take all these green people and build them up as homegrown stars, which is cool. Like, fucking do that. That's great. But the thing that they did with Joe Gacy initially was that stupid woke character thing that they tried to play off of for like 2 weeks. And they were like, oh, fuck, that's not going to work. So we got to do something else. And then they threw him into this cult leader thing, but then they never really capitalized on the cult leader aspect of it. And if they would have really pushed into that, it would have been awesome. But one of the biggest problems is that they've had their title on fucking Braunberg for for a year now, and like every single match that he has is the exact same,
boring,
and it's a carbon copy of Goldberg. His finisher's a fucking spear. Like,
it's boring. It's not. He's not a fun. He's a throwback to the type of wrestlers that bored the fuck out of me back then.
He's both of the Steiner brothers as one guy, and that's fine. But
and none of the actual, like, the Steiner brothers like innovated tag team wrestling. They did cool shit. If there's just one dumb one walking around, I shouldn't say he's dumb. He's probably a wonderful man, Braun, but I do not like his wrestling character.
No, his character is dumb. He is actually probably not, but his character is very dumb. And they've, for whatever reason, they've kept the title on him for as long as they have.
So long.
And not
because I think they know he'll get eaten alive on the main roster.
Not even just that. Even if he was going after the title, it would be fine. Like, he reminds me a lot in the sense of, like, you remember when Alex Hammerstone in MLW, before he was a champion, he was the one that was going after the title and everything, and like everybody was really rooting for him. And now that he's had the title for as long as he has, he's just kind of a like, I'm Alex Hammerstone. Like, it's kind of like, all right, fuck. Like, when you
settle in and it's not as fun.
It's like when you were going after people like Cruel and fucking, like Jacob Fatu and stuff like that, and you were having those fights like with Contra Unit and shit. Like, it worked. But now he's just a dude that talks like a bro. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like, maybe you shouldn't be the champion, I guess, Yeah. But yeah, NXT just has too much green. There's too much green in NXT for it to actually really, really work as a third brand. And I mean, I hate to say it, they need more fucking training before they bring them to like a big, it's a brand, like it's a full brand.
They need to either change it to just OVW again and take it off air and train these people before they go on air, or treat it like they did before, where you just let the wrestlers figure it out. And the wrestlers figure it out. Like, that's why we had fucking Tyler Breeze. That's why we had Emma. Like, Emma was just like, that kind of character was so not anybody else's character. Because they were just allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted. With the fucking vaudevillains, like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
but they worked because they
worked.
Because it was something they wanted to do and stuff. And I don't know. It's I fucking I love wrestling, but it's so frustrating sometimes.
The last thing I want to mention about WWE is the thing that I think is their biggest mistake over the last, I would say, at least 6 months, was bringing in Sarah Logan as Valhalla and making her look like Anti-Vax the Impaler. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, there could not have been a bigger gimmick swipe if they tried. Like, and even the look is almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I know. And she's also, they've done nothing with her.
Zero.
Since she called back. My biggest, I never wanted them back. I wanted Nikki Cross back, or not Nikki, Logan back.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she's part of the Vikings, but they're fine, I guess. I want them to be War Machine and not Viking cosplay, but Kit Rowe, why are we even like,
no, it's so dumb.
Like, they're not good. Did you see that the Top Dollar dude just talks smack all the time, and then he like almost killed himself just going over the ropes like the other day, like
the only
almost
thing
broke his neck. It's so I hate that dude talks so much shit and can't back it up, and it's
the only thing that was funny about that is that they turned it into a storyline. That's the only thing that was funny, is that it was just like, dude, you ate the most shit, so we have to save this. So you're a heel now. Like, that's just what it is. Like, sorry.
He was already a heel because nobody likes them. They can't rap. They can't.
No.
they'd have no hits.
No, dude, they brought them like the fact that they tried to bring them back after Strickland was gone. After Swerve was gone, you couldn't do it. Like they were gone. I am happy that Triple H has brought most of the people back that he's brought back, but that one was a mistake. Like they just unfortunately
it just wasn't needed unless they're just the jobber team. But they had wins like when they first came back, and now they're just like, nope. Top Dollar can't do anything.
No, dude. Well, and also like they put them against, they put them against the. I remember this is like kind of the nail in their coffin is because they put them up against the Usos, and the entire fucking fan base was like, "Whoa, why the fuck do they get a title shot? They haven't won anything at all. Like they literally haven't won since they got back." I'm happy they brought Loomis back for sure.
He's one of my favorites.
And also Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed, I'm happy they brought back.
Yes, I want him to be doing more stuff though. They need to get him going, and I hope there's plans for him and Gargano once he's healed.
Yeah, as soon as they capitalize on Bronson Reed, he's going to be another one that gets a rocket ship strapped to him. But to wrap up the wrestling talk with the horror stuff, I think the one I'm definitely still the most excited about is how this Wyatt thing turns out. Yeah, because you can tell that they're really giving Bray Wyatt like 100% control over the creative, which is what they should have done in the first fucking place.
Yep.
And I can't wait to see how this turns out.
And if we're being honest, it felt like Bray had a lot of sway in creative because
until the
end,
he
was doing shit that nobody's ever done.
Yeah, I agree.
Gotten away with. Like he was flat out calling out Vince McMahon for a lot of shit, and it wasn't even that like veiled.
No, I think the stuff that he did, like with the puppets and everything, like with Vince and all that, that Vince had to sign off on those things because Vince was very much still in power at that time.
Yeah,
but I think as far as what they were doing with his matches, I think he didn't have control over. Because if he did, there's no fucking way that they would have had that Hell in the Cell match the way they did. And there's absolutely no way that he would have.
He needs more booking control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is zero chance that he ever would have taken the fucking L to Goldberg. Zero.
Yeah. And there were so many times when he should have gone over Cena and stuff, over Taker, where they just didn't do it. And you're like, this is your next guy. This is your face. You can turn this into like so much. Like
he's your new Undertaker.
Yeah, like even better, like a new, better version. He can. Yeah, that fucking Sister Abigail is such a real cool finisher, and he does it very well. Anyway, that was excellent wrestling and music talk, I think.
Yeah.
Super
we have
fun.
Dude, the next one on this, we're going to have a lot more to talk about on it too. So this is, there's a lot of good shit happening in wrestling and in music right now. So these little side episodes like this, you know what?
Yeah. I think it just turned into a wrestling music show.
It did.
Halfway through. So
yeah.
Awesome.
So this has been great, you guys. Graham, do you happen to have the list of the Army of the Goddamned on you right now?
I think I do. I also have low battery on my phone.
Yeah, well, we can do a thank you out to the Army of the Goddamned.
I'd have this memorized, except anyway, Jason Daniels, Jake Jolly, Ron Knobloch, Kristen Pearl, Manny Velasquez, Coleman Rosenberg, Drew Muldowney, Stephanie Gurley, Katie Viking, Chris Fortune, Alan Graham, Bacon Bits the Cat, and Angela.
Fuck yeah.
All fucking amazing members.
And these episodes,
the Army of the Goddamn.
These side episodes are for you guys. You know, we're giving them out to you guys first before anybody else gets them. And, we're going to keep on doing that. We're going to keep on pushing out cool, side episode shit like this. The Grindhouse is going to be coming back because I've got some fucking amazing guests signed up for that. And shit's been changing on this side of it. So I'm going to have more Grindhouse episodes for you guys too. This is first, thank you guys for all your support. Honestly,
seriously.
Everything you guys do, like even when you just fucking comment on our shit and just talk to us, like just all your support, it means the world to us.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe and like on the video void. YouTube,
that whole thing. If you like the video, make sure that you hit the thumb.
Or whatever
do that.
You have to say. That. Yeah, I always forget to tell people to subscribe.
Yeah,
if we get enough subscribers, they start paying us. So
I know I hate that it helps as much as it does, but fuck yeah, even just that like or that subscription.
So tell your mom to subscribe. too.
Yeah, she
And
doesn't
hi,
even have to
Mom.
listen to us. Yeah, she doesn't
I'm
even
not
have
even
to.
sure if my mom subscribes. Mom, subscribe.
Yeah, I know my mom doesn't. She doesn't like go on YouTube, so I'm like, you know what, Mom, you need to also.
Yeah.
My brother and sister too. They actually like horror, so they should actually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
dude,
just gonna go hit up my family and tell them to subscribe to the YouTube channel now.
we are. It's gonna be like ticket barking for a fucking movie or for a music show. Just fucking scratching. I just like hit the like, please. But yeah, dude,
Well,
this has been fun. So
it's always
been
great
cool.
talking to you, Jonas.
And I'm looking forward to the next one. But in the meantime, everybody out there is listening. You know what to do. Start some fires. And what, Graham?
Remake everything.
Remake everything and break some glass.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right.
that part too.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks so much.